to my doctor brother for a climate change brother.
I think more people are being convinced that, yeah, there's climate change. So, like, yeah, something needs to be done, but, like, what exactly do you do without giving in, like, your freedoms and, you know, it costing too much?
My issue has always been with all of these implementations that the government want to do, are we causing the poor people to be suffering more, and then as the poor people suffer more because they're the ones that feel the brunt, you know, as we raise energy prices on everything. Are we resigned to keep implementing these solutions, so-called solutions, at the cost of causing more of a death rate? I mean, that's, to me, a very sobering decision to make.
Point number 1. The fuel cell car is our long-term solution to clean transportation.
I don't think the electric car is the long-term solution to our transportation issues.
Then what is there? What's the long-term solution to our problem there?
Let's talk about the fuel cell car, okay? It's like a battery, it's electric powered, okay? But it's a little bit different technology. So what we're describing is a hydrogen fuel cell.
Point number 2. Does the fuel cell car have a larger driving range than the electric car?
Well, let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages. So first of all, driving range, you know, the distance you can drive on say a full tank of hydrogen versus a full charge on an electric car. You know, which one would do better?
Well, definitely the fuel cell car. The electric car depends on the size of the battery. So the larger the size of the battery, the farther range you can go. If you have a larger size battery, but the weight goes up dramatically.
Right. So
and the efficiency goes down. Right. Yeah. So, but the fuel cell vehicle is not that way. The weight's not really an issue with it as much at all.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but it's not as much.
So you can keep increasing the technology, and the driving range will probably just keep going up. But with electric car at all, it mainly just depends on the battery.
So according to your research, a fuel cell car, the ones that are in production today, can go between 300 and 600 miles on a tank of hydrogen. Whereas an electric car, that's max maybe 100 to 350 miles or so. So yeah, it's at least twice as good as an electric car, the fuel cell car.
Point number 3. What about the weight and size of the vehicles? Is the fuel cell car larger, and does it weigh more than the electric one?
Well, let's talk about the size and weight of the. You were just talking about that. So let's see which one is better in that. So which one's bigger in size, the fuel cell car or the
well, it has to be the fuel cell car, and the reason is because of the hydrogen tank. So I guess like a hydrogen tank has to hold 5 kilograms of hydrogen in it. I think the volume, it doesn't weigh much, but the volume it takes up is what makes the tank pretty large.
Pretty big. But which one weighs more?
By far, it's the electric vehicle.
Yeah, so it weighs more. Okay, so the fuel cell car is bigger, has to be a little bigger because of the tank, but the electric car weighs more because of the battery, right?
Point number 4. What about fuel refilling time? Is it quicker to fill a hydrogen tank or charge an electric battery?
So, another thing that people are concerned about, and this happened in our video. People are saying, "Oh, why?" We're talking about fueling time and stuff for the gas car versus the electric car, and people say, "Oh, I plug it in, it's 20 minutes, and I'm on my road." Okay, so for like a gas car, you can put the gas in. It takes about 5 minutes to pump it up, or whatever, right? What does it take to fill up the tank in a fuel cell? Like put the hydrogen in the tank?
It's about the same amount of time.
Okay, so
it's like between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay, so your time efficiency there is a little better. For to reiterate what we said about the electric car, what are the fueling times for that?
Well, for the electric car, it depends on the type of charger. I think for electric, you have the level 2 charger. It takes about 4 to 10 hours to charge.
So overnight, you gotta.
Yeah, overnight you leave it, and it gives you a full charge. You go to the public places, and they have a fast charger, which takes about a half an hour to an hour to charge to give you a full charge.
Right. So some people plug it in for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. They say, "Oh, I'm on the road again." Yeah, but you probably don't have a full charge.
Point number 5. There are more electric cars on the road and more models to choose from.
Okay. So let's talk about what's available, though. I mean, there's a lot of electric cars out there. Are there that many fuel cell cars out there running on hydrogen right now?
Not much. And I don't know if this is actually the actual figures, but I looked it up. And they say worldwide there's less than 100,000, like of just regular fuel
Really?
cell cars. Yeah, there's not many on the roads, but for electric vehicles, and I think they maybe plug-in hybrid electric vehicles too, there's over 40 million.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And so the competition is better too because they have more variety, they have more models.
How many models are available for the fuel cell car?
I don't know the exact,
Hydrogen
but
car.
it's probably got to be less than 15,
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But for the electric, well, there's over like 70, 80.
Point number 6. Is the fuel cell car more expensive than the electric car, or is it the other way around?
Let's talk about price, vehicle price, because we compared the prices back in the gasoline versus the electric car. So which one costs more right now?
Well, it's definitely the fuel cell vehicle.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what they cost new, but I was able to find some information on a website. And on there, I did the comparison between the electric and the fuel cell. That was a couple years old, so I guess the 2022 models. And the average prices for the electric between 30 and 45,000, but for the fuel cell is at least 1.5 times larger or more. It was like between 45 and 60,000.
Yeah, so you're probably
For
50% more. there,
Yeah,
right?
so it's at least
right.
50% more for the fuel cell cars.
Now, the advantage of the fuel cell car, it would be like the electric car, say, 5 years ago, where they were really expensive. They've come way down in price over the last 5 years. So the more and more that they produce the fuel cell car, the more competition's in there, then the price will start coming down as well. That's going to be a great thing.
Point number 7. Hydrogen fuel is more expensive than electric charge, but that may change in the future because of more developments.
Let's talk a little bit about the fuel price.
So right now, definitely the electric car, if you charge it at home, is going to cost the best out of all different kinds of vehicles. Doesn't matter if it's gasoline, diesel, or fuel cell.
Right. The cheapest per mile is, just for that portion, is the electric car.
Yeah, and right now too, the cost of making hydrogen is still relatively high. It used to be even much more than it was now. Like, it used to cost $20 per kilogram, but now it's kind of dropped down to about 10. But they say the price equivalent between that and the gasoline is still twice as much per gallon equivalent.
Now, you were talking about how the more and more methods that they do to produce hydrogen, it's going to start coming down. Well, see, I think that's where you can see the future a little bit on what hydrogen might be, because hydrogen is very plentiful, on the Earth. It's the most common element, most abundant element we have on the Earth, apparently. So hydrogen might be a more long-term solution, and the prices may come way down versus the electric car.
Point number 8. Hydrogen is not as clean as other fuels now because of the way it is currently produced.
Pretty much most of our hydrogen infrastructure is made from natural gas or methane, and that causes a lot of greenhouse gas emission. Now, they could do it where it doesn't produce. That's kind of one of the caveats. They say, well, if we use hydrogen, it's going to be cleaner burning, but even compared to the electric car, it may be comparable or even more for generating the fuel.
So the greenhouse, as far as polluting, I'm talking about greenhouse gas emissions only. Right now, the hydrogen vehicle pollutes a little bit more than the electric vehicle.
Yeah, I would think so. If you use the hydrogen the way it's made now.
So, to summarize, what do you think right now? I guess we've talked about there's some pros and there's some cons to the fuel cell. There's some advantages to the electric car over the fuel cell, but there's also a lot of advantages from the fuel cell over the electric car. So what do you think right now? Is the fuel cell a better solution, or is the electric car a better solution?
Since I consider myself somewhat like an environmentalist in certain areas, and for efficiency, I'm hoping that the hydrogen fuel cell car catches on. So if it does, I would rather have that type of vehicle than the electric. Someday, let's hope in the future that these fuel cell cars and electricity will come about,
So you tell us what you decide, whether you like the electric car better than the fuel cell car. Tell us your opinions as well, as you like our video. So until next time, we'll bring you the facts as we see them, and you can decide how to take these in and implement these things. All right.
Excellent.